So hello and welcome. My name is Katie. I am the sales and marketing executive for ProNotary. These are something that we host every week. We go over different best practices, go over our software updates, and then at the very end, if you have any questions, we can go through that. I wanted to do it a little bit differently and open it up just in case anyone has any questions right at the very beginning, so you don't have to go through the webinar topic today, which is converting in-person notarizations or in-person sessions over to remote, because we do have some clients that have been having some issues with that. So I'm going to go ahead and allow anyone to talk in case they have questions right in the beginning. So it's a little bit of a speak now or forever hold your peace until the very end. We have this floor until 12:30. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and begin. Give me 1 second where I'm just going to pin it. Okay, so today what we're talking about is converting in-person sessions to remote. One of the things that we have gone through or heard over and over again is that their clients don't want to do remote notarizations. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump into how to fix that, or some things that you can do so that way it makes it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go into full view. Okay, so this is converting clients to remote online notarization. Just to reiterate, my name is Katie. I'm the sales and marketing executive for ProNotary. We host these every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Typically they are recorded and then we are able to put them online. So if that's how you're joining us, welcome. So today is converting clients to remote online notarization. We're going to jump right into it. The typical thing that we see all of the time is that the clients prefer in person. And so while that could be the case, sometimes there is a simple framework to follow to get them to convert to remote. Typically the offices that we work with or the individual notaries that we work with, there's a reason why they want to do remote online notarization. They don't want to drive out to the clients. Sometimes the law firm is moving towards virtual, or they're doing more work from home days where, you know, all of the paralegals, all of the admins, and all of the lawyers will work from home. And so this is an easy way to make it so that way they can do that. So my clients prefer in person. This is a framing issue. This presentation will go over how to convert your clients from in-person to remote. So the next thing that you want to go over is a little bit of information about us. So just as a brief kind of plug, we host these weekly. That we showcase updates on the platform, the best insights, and then also we have training and 24/7 email support for our software. So our software is very, very easy to use. So feel free to go ahead and get signed up so that way we can get you on board and then just, you know, do this all of the time in case you are not already one of our clients. Okay, so main objection. This is what you will typically hear if you are just getting into this business all of the time, which is, I don't know how to use tech. So the way that you want to try and frame this is through, over on the right-hand side, I've made a presentation where it's like, I totally understand that. So you validate their feelings. So that way, you know, it's not like, oh yeah, I hear you, but you're wrong. Just say, I totally understand your feelings, or something along those lines. You can paraphrase, change the script to where it works for you. And then also you want to do something where it's like a little bit of proof. So I've been doing this for clients who also feel that way. So I'm happy to walk you through the process. So the main thing is to educate and make the client comfortable with the process in a way that makes them not have their hackles up when remote online notarization is presented to them. You want to present it as a reliable, easy to do thing. Because otherwise, if you have never gone through the process and if you do not know, it can sound really complicated, or it could be really complicated in that client's mind, where really, if you have gone through the training, and then done the signing, the point of view from the signer's version, you know that it's really, really easy to get signed on. In general, for most people, it should just take about 5 minutes to get signed on, after they've gone through the initial, like figuring it out. Which we're going to go into how to make that easier for your clients as well. So you basically say, that's a very common thing that people will say to me. But like we have ways to get around it. So it's like, you're not the only person that has had this type of hesitation, and this is how I got them through it. So it's a little bit of authority building and expert for you. So then you just kind of want to go through. So the other thing is that you want to provide a solution. So typically what you want to say is, let's try it remotely. If you can't figure it out, then we'll send someone, or we'll talk about next steps, or we'll dive into how to get this knocked out in a different way. So that takes the pressure off of the client, because typically when you are talking to them, it's not that they don't know the tech, it's that they think that they might not be able to figure it out. And they don't want to go through it alone. So sometimes it takes a little bit of handholding to be able to get them through that process. There's both pros and cons to the fact that this is such a new process. You're the one that gets to introduce them to it, but then there's also some education aspect of it that you also have to bring to the table to them. And so that's what you have to walk them through. So the next slide goes over what you actually have to do. So walk them through. I would say to them, like once they are like, okay, well, what is this? What even is this? That's a very common phrase that you'll hear from your signers if they don't want to, if they don't want to do this. What is this? So the way that you would explain it is, you're going to get an invitation from me to your email. You'll click on the link and then you'll just walk through the steps. The software will walk you through it, but I will also do it for you in case you need some help, or I'll be here. I'll be, you can email me, you can call me, whatever. So that way that objection kind of is lessened. So that way you don't have to coordinate with a mobile notary, or coordinate with a consulate, or coordinate with, them coming into an office where, you might have a virtual office, you might have no office at all. So those are the ways that you want to frame it. And then we'll go on. So we say you get an invitation to your email, click the link. It's going to bring you to the software. And then at that point, it's going to have you upload your ID. Another point of objection: I don't know how to do that. Do you know how to upload a check to your bank? Yeah, I do know how to do that. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. You take a picture of the front of your ID and you take a picture of the back of your ID, and it's going to have you go through it. It's going to walk you through everything. There's prompts. It's easy, I swear. And then, if you want to, you can say, I have a client that's just like you, that, we walked him through and now he's a pro. That's all he does. He won't do, in person, which has happened for, a lot of different of our clients and myself, where they're like, no, never. And then now it's like, okay, this client is my favorite because he takes 2 seconds to do his notarization. So those are things that you can kind of reassure them with, is that it is something that super easy to walk them through. And then the next thing is that they will have to typically ask a couple identifying questions to make sure that, they are who they say they are, and then meet with you remotely. There is always the option of, if you are a law firm that has worked, or a title company that has worked with this client for a long period of time, We do give you the option of waiving the ID verification, so it might be a little bit easier for them to just sign on, like where they would just click on a button and then go through and meet with you rather than going through the ID verification. But that's on the notary, and that's a case by case. So that is something that you would have to um, kind of think about internally, because you as the notary are saying, I know this person, and that is based off of your laws and statutes. So we do give you that option in case you are sitting here thinking like, I know all my clients, I don't need them to do the ID verification. You don't have to. You have that option to give them to skip. So that's just another thing to think about. Next steps. You want to make it as easy as possible for them. I have created a walkthrough. So it is on our YouTube. Here, I'm going to show you really quick. It is on our, sorry. There. It is on our YouTube. Also, when you do get onboarded, you will get a series of emails. We train you the whole entire platform. So you'll get a series of emails. One of those emails is what I asked before, which is the templates. So an email explaining Ron. And then it also should include the sign-on guide for remote online notarization, specifically for ProNotary. We walk the clients through it on a video. We also have a email that we send out to our new clients for the platform that gives the signers a step-by-step. So we have all aspects of signing your clients except for the notary to be able to get everything set up. So we send that out. Once you get signed up, you'll be able to see all of it. But in general, you want to set it up so that there's an email explaining Ron. We give that to you. And then also, some of our clients have tried to step away from a call and they brought it back. So this has kind of been the best practice of what we've seen, is that you call the clients and explain or very briefly walk them through the process if you are working with like third-party vendors. So let's say you're an independent notary that's working with a title company or working with a law firm. Once you get that information of the signers, give them a quick call and just say, this is the process, this is what you'll do, this is the stuff that you'll need. And then just, do you have any questions? Because otherwise, sometimes, unfortunately, people don't always read those emails that you might send with the email explaining Ron. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't still do it, because people do read that and they refer back to it. But the call sometimes will make it so that it's 10 times easier to have the actual notarization go through. Because otherwise, I've had notaries call the signers and they're like, the signers will be like, okay, I'm sitting in front of, the Zoom link with all of the papers that they had printed out, and they thought that they had to sign it in front of like the Zoom, which obviously is not going to work and not going to hold up. So, just save them that trouble, because they probably had to print out, whatever documents it is. And that's just not a good experience. So if you just give them a call, give them a brief explanation, they'll be able to ask any questions that they have. You want to make sure that, especially with some of the older clients, they have a computer or a laptop that is Zoom capable. So, you always want to check with that. And then the other thing that we wanted to go over is you'll be able to see this. This is publicly available for the sign-on guide. Sometimes we have people that might be on the fence about getting into our platform or getting onto our program. So we have everything here. We have demos, we have explanations, we have, what it looks like on the inside, and a signer sign-on guide. So we made that publicly available so that way our clients can send that to anywhere. But then also you can see how easy the software is, how, it takes probably under an hour to learn how to, send out an invitation. But I just wanted to also highlight that. So I think that is the best explanation as to how to convert the clients from in-person to remote. The other thing that you want to do is that if you do have someone that is expressing a lot of, here, let me go back to All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay, so if you do have a lot of people that are saying, I don't think that I can do this, I don't know, it's always a good thing to ask if they have someone in there that they trust, to be able to help them sign on. So sometimes it can be like, um, someone elderly, and so then they'll be like, oh yeah, like I have my grandson coming over. So that way they can help them through the process of getting signed on. So that has been something that I have kind of brought up as a possible way to politely and respectfully ask if there's anyone that might be a little bit more tech savvy, that can walk your client through, some of the process. So that way it's just a little bit easier, because sometimes it is a simple fact of, that signer is in front of the computer, and, you're like, okay, now you need to just click click here. And then, sometimes they're like, oh, I can't see it. And then their grandkid reaches over and is like, no, grandpa, you gotta click right here. So that has happened. That has happened. So that's always something that is an option, to be able to kind of go over, like, do you have anyone that might be a little bit more tech savvy? And so then sometimes they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'll have my nephew come over, or I'll have my neighbor come over. She knows her way around a computer, and then, it's a lot easier. So that's the way to kind of make everything flow a little bit better for when you are doing these notarizations. Once you start implementing those steps, you'll be able to see that there's not going to be as much pushback on the notarizations. So you'll be able to do more things from home. You won't have to send out mobile notaries. You won't have to ask them to come into the office. And especially for our international clients, you want to walk them through it so that way they get it. So that way you don't have to schedule for an embassy or consulate or have them come back to the United States. So that's the general outline. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for if anyone has any questions. I think I covered all of the points that I wanted to go over anyway. There might be one more thing and I can't remember it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. So give me 1 second. I'm just going to add in so that anyone can talk. Okay. All right. So I think I opened it up. So floor is yours for any questions. Okay. So if no one has any questions, I do want to reiterate, our pricing for ProNotary is, there's a couple different tiers, and you'll be able to see that once you go through the inquiry on our website, because then that gives me a little bit more of a idea of, all of your information. We ask you to go through and enter some details. But otherwise, the pricing is $59 a month, for the first package. So we have a couple different tiers, but the tier 1 is the cloud, $59 a month, $10 per transaction. And I wanted to really hit this home. $10 per transaction means per session. So if you have a will that has, let's say 20 different seals, there's a lot of variables that go into that. It's still just the $10. So that is something that is really, really attractive to the notaries that have bigger documents. They can feel good about quoting their clients. There's no variables. So we also have a team package as well. So if you have, an office, or if you and another notary work together concurrently, we have something where it's called team. It's $99 a month, and then the first 2 notaries are within that package. So it is a little bit cheaper, for if you are a team, and then same thing, it's the $10 per transaction. So if you are an enterprise and you have more than, let's say, 40 to 50 notarizations a month, reach out directly to me so that way we can talk about pricing and just, how to develop a relationship. That's pretty much it. Also, sign up for our partner program. That is something that is free for anyone. Partner program basically means if you want to refer any work to us, we want to thank you. And the first $50 that is automatically added into your account is on us. And then we do payouts of 100. So it's anytime that you bring someone on, we would credit you $50. So basically the thing is that you have to do your first referral in order to get that $50 that we automatically credit you. So, and then the other thing is that they have to stay on a certain amount of time, just so that way, that's fair to us, it's fair to you. So otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If this was helpful, send me an email. If you have any questions, send me an email. It is katie@pronotary.com. Also, our website is www.pronotary.com, and I really appreciate anyone who joined me.